for a roll call, please.
Chairman Blasick is absent. Vice Chairman Labiche.
Here.
Commissioner Bell.
Here.
Commissioner Craig.
Here.
Commissioner Crawford.
Here.
Commissioner Goodness.
Here.
Commissioner Macon.
Here.
Commissioner Segee.
Here.
And Commissioner Templeton is absent.
Thank you all. Our first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from April 12th, 2021. Everyone was sent these electronically. So at this time, I'd ask for any corrections. We can have a discussion or an approval of the minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. All right, we will move into our regular meeting. The first item is PZ 2021-142, request for certificate of appropriateness for a new construction. Have our report, please.
Okay. Mr. Ariano is seeking permission to build a new house on a vacant lot located at 70 Guffey Street. This home will be a 3-bed, 2-bath floor plan and be 2,200 square feet in size. This house is to be constructed with a slab-on-grade foundation. He requests the outside of his house to have red brick facade, red or brown architectural shingles, 3x6 windstorm-rated windows, and wood columns centering the entryway of the front of the house. The door will be wood stained with decorative window and 2 side lights. Here's the property right here off of Pecos. And then this is also a side view of the property going from Pecos Street at Guffey. This is going to be the front elevation. Staff is recommending approval subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the finished floor elevation shall be 24 inches. The roof overhang minimum shall be 12 inches. The windows shall be 6/1 in appearance. The final submitted plan must show that the roof pitch will not be less than 4.5-inch rise in any 12-inch horizontal distance. And then this is a example of the brick that they would like to use. And then this is an example of the door. The applicants are in the audience.
All right, is there any questions for staff?
I just would like somebody to explain why the windows are different on the,
They're showing an example of the brick, and that's a
yeah, I
6
know,
hour
but
size.
on the elevation.
On here, so whenever I called him, we had discussed that he wanted a 6/1 in appearance, or that's what we would be recommending. As to why they look like that, I
So
think that
that's
he
just
was, I think it was just like,
mistake.
yeah. But he's in the audience as well, so he can also answer to that as well.
Any other questions for staff? All right. Mr. Arellano, you step forward, please. If you would just step up to the podium, state your name and your address for our record.
Okay, my name is Alberto Arellano. My address is 2205 Angelina Street. And I'm here to hear by you to see if you can give me my permit.
Okay, do you own the house? There is an address, 70 Guffey Street, that there is a house there. Do you own that house?
No, I buy the empty lot.
Okay, so when I'm looking at the house, is it the lot to the right or to the left? Because there's an empty lot that has a swimming pool on one side. There's an empty lot that's just nothing on it on the other side.
See,
I
I don't-
house that 70 Duffy is the address you're talking about?
Yeah, whenever I called it up on Google Earth, it brought me to that house that's next door to well, it's in between 2 empty lots. So both empty lots are corner lots.
70 Guffey. So there
the house on Guffey, and there's an empty lot on both sides, so this is the empty lot on the right-hand side?
So when you're looking at street right of way, towards their left side is his house.
Okay.
And then
lot.
he's
His
wanting
lot.
to,
His
yeah,
lot.
his lot, and then he's wanting to develop this corner lot.
Okay. All right, any questions for? Are you okay with the recommendations that the staff has made for you
Yes.
for modifications?
Yes,
¿Entiendes las cosas que están pidiendo?
sí,
Sí.
sí, ya tengo 20 años viviendo en esa área y pues yo sé más o menos lo que requieren ahí. En la-
Otra vez.
Digo que ya tengo 20 años viviendo en esa área y yo sé más o menos las recomendaciones que tienen ahí para...
He said he's been there
Yeah.
20 years, he
Yeah.
knows more or less the recommendations that we would go for.
Okay.
The only thing else to know.
It will be a very nice house.
Okay.
I'm just
Okay.
thank you.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Make a motion, we approve PZ 2021-142.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for PZ 2021-142. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Nice addition to that neighborhood. It
Yeah.
was
Congratulations, thank you for doing those developments. All right, our next item is PZ 2021-146, request for certificate of appropriateness for new construction. Applicant is Jeremy Wilson, and the address is 2331 Angelina Street. Stan?
Okay. Mr. Wilson is seeking permission to build a new house on his vacant lot located at 2331 Angelina Street. The home is to be a 3-bedroom, 1-bath floor plan and be 1,100 square feet in size. The house is to be constructed on slab-on-grade foundation. He would like the outside to have vertical LP smart panel siding, composition shingles, and 4x4 wood posts on the front porch. Also, he would like louvered shutters on the front windows. Windows will have 1/1 appearance. The roof will have a 4/12 pitch. The color of the shutters and the exterior doors were not specified. So, this is the front elevation that he had submitted. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. The finished floor plan shall be 24 inches. The roof overhang shall be a minimum of 12 inches. The windows shall be 6/1 in appearance. The final submitted plans must show the roof pitch to not be less than 4.5-inch rise in any 12-inch horizontal distance. The columns on the front porch shall be a craftsman-style tapered column. So that column on the, I believe it's the left side, it shows it on there, going down right here. I can find I didn't add it in this slide show, but I can find an example if you guys would like. He's not here today. He had a personal matter come up that he couldn't attend, but he does say he's sorry for that.
Has he seen your, report?
He has.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we
the
spoke
limits
earlier.
and things,
Yes.
okay.
And he's good with all of the conditions?
I can double check with him, but as far as I know, everything seemed good.
I guess my only concern is the newer small houses that have been built in the
Mhm.
Old Town area have all been on pier and beams or have the look of pier and beams.
Yes, ma'am.
We kind of fought hard for that with the, beamer and so forth.
Mhm. And that is a recommendation, obviously, that you guys can, or a approval
Mhm.
that you guys can put on this case. I believe it's vinyl, or of the vinyl. That whenever I Googled it, that's kind of what was coming up, was vinyl paneling. And I was unsure if you guys would prefer a vertical versus a horizontal, but this is, vertical is what he presented.
What color is it gonna be?
It is going to be, so this
That's nice.
is going to be the body color, and then this is going to be the trim. Now, I did put it in here just so that I didn't know if you guys wanted to have a say in it, what the shutters and the front door would be painted. He did not specify.
Well, you'll have the approval on that.
Right.
from us.
Right.
Any other questions for staff? All right, have discussion?
I guess because we were so, adamant about the look of, pier and beams on so many houses and fought several times to have that. I'm glad the house is being built. That is gonna give the neighborhood a boost, but I don't know. I don't know. We have talked before that when we, pre-20 years, if we made a ruling, then we needed to be consistent with the ruling down. We've had people move change doors, windows, on and on and on. And I don't know if our thoughts on this have changed, but that, you know, we really kind of fought for that when they were doing the little replacement homes. I don't know if this body wants to continue that or ignore it, but I do want to point out that we have made others do homes that had a pier and beam, because it was the look of the neighborhood.
Don, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I've several. I know that some of you are experiencing what the cost of wood is these days.
Mm-hmm.
So traditionally, we all build houses on concrete slabs because we don't want the ongoing maintenance of the wood, and it's tough to insulate under them and keep the area under the house dry and those kind of things. So that's one consideration. Another consideration would be to start asking these people if they're gonna do that and put a raised slab in, to do some false piers.
Yeah.
So you just go in the corner and you build brick, you know, maybe 2 foot around the corner, and you make a gap and you put another little, 18-inch wide, just brick veneer on the front of it, and then you go in between those piers and you maybe paint that a dark gray color. So as an appearance from the street, it looks like it's a pier and beam. So to me, that
Would be an alternate,
be
and I think,
alternate that.
and I certainly would not vote against it.
It was just more cost efficient to do it with a slab.
Well,
I'm glad to see
ongoing
the houses
maintenance and
going
that kind
up,
of
yeah.
stuff, and the cost, these are inexpensive little houses.
Right.
They're starter homes for people, and, sometimes little rental homes, and the wood industry is just crazy. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
I'd rather see a home instead of a vacant lot,
Me too.
overgrown, definitely, but, that's what we're here for, to keep in integrity, and y'all have set a precedent. This is only my 3rd meeting, but, so, maybe it's something that could be discussed to keep.
Well, you're gonna have to have some steps.
Right.
Okay, so the steps could be done in brick, and then you could do some little false piers, starting at the corners across the front of the house, to make it be consistent with the neighborhood. And I think that would be fine. You do
I'd love
some
to see that.
plantings in there too,
Right.
it makes it.
But I
look
don't
nice.
think we can just ignore what we've decided
Oh,
on
I
for
think I
years
agree with
before.
you.
Is that something that we can put in place from now on? Or is that something that we can only recommend?
As far as like putting the brick facade.
Right.
That,
Just
if
for
that's
the
something that you
appearance
guys want
sake.
me to start including, I can certainly put that as recommendations.
As an option to them.
Right.
But if
So,
they say no, then what? But I mean, we've gotta have some
well,
teeth here.
Teeth, yeah.
they would have to go to council
There's an
and
appeals
get an
process.
approval from council to override any recommendation that we make. So
Okay.
that's your secondary, method of moving forward with your project. But I don't think that that's gonna add too much money to the project, to tell you the truth.
Mhm.
And I'd say we just ask them to do it across the front of the house.
Yeah.
There's really no reason to do it down the sides or on the back of the house.
That makes sense.
Yep, sure
Yeah.
does.
Yes.
And I think that you all can look at it and see, yeah, there's enough to where it looks like it's pier and beam
Right.
or not.
Are you guys wanting, the front can you go back to the elevation? Yeah, that's please. Yeah. Are you guys wanting the, porch approach, or like the porch to have any kind of brick to it, or just that underneath? Like, there's going to be a column that's going up. I
think the world famous architect is trying to draw you a little sketch.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for that sketch all day.
Here you go.
Yeah.
You can all take a look at that.
I got the vision.
You got the vision. Well, I don't know if these people have the vision, but
Oh, yeah.
Again, the house looks a lot better than the empty lot.
oh, and
Whatever-
absolutely.
Whatever we have
Put
to
something on
do,
the tax rolls.
whatever we have to do, which again, that suggestion, I guess that goes in the motion. What do you call it, a false?
Yeah, false pier and beam.
Make motion that we approve BZ 2021-46 with the exception of the false pier and beams across the front of the newly constructed house.
I second it, and I think you did good.
With the
Supervision.
5 conditions. With the 5 conditions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think his vision was good.
it was.
all right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? All right.
So are we gonna start adding that in from now on? Or you will do that, correct? Okay, so when they come,
It should already be like within those 5 conditions, or
Okay.
up to 6.
perfect.
Good.
All right, our next case is PZ 2021-154, request for certificate of appropriateness for new construction. Same applicant, Jeremy Wilson. The address is 2214 Angelina Street.
We have a whole new neighborhood.
He is building up all over the city.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mr. Wilson is seeking permission to build a new house on his vacant lot at 2214 Angelina. This will also be the same floor plan, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,100 square feet. He will also like to have the LP smart panel siding, composition shingles, 4x4 wood post on the front porch, louvered shutters on the front windows. The windows will have a 1/1 appearance. The roof will have a 4/12 pitch. The color of the shutters and exterior doors were not specified. Mr. Wilson also wishes to have the body color to be crushed ice and the trim to be Legia, with your permission. So this is a color palette that you guys will need to approve. So, already clicked, my bad.
Crushed ice.
Yes, so this is the lot right here. This is the elevation, same as the one before. And then this is going to be that, crushed ice. There is, what was that?
Similar to Chelsea gray, but it is much, much lighter than a pre-approved gray that we have in our palette. It's much lighter.
And then this
It's more
trim,
brown tone too.
yeah, and that trim's just not,
It's,
in the same palette, so it's not something that we could approve over the counter.
the trim is very similar to our Delling sand. It's just not the same palette as any of those homes that are similar to it.
That's what our dining room is down there.
Staff recommends approval, subject to the following: the finished floor elevation to be 24 inches, roof overhang minimum shall be 12 inches, the windows shall be 6/1 in appearance, final submitted plans shall show roof pitch to not be less than a 4.5-inch rise over any 12-inch horizontal distance, the column on the front porch shall be tapered, or shall be a craftsman-styled tapered column.
I want to ask you one question. On your item number 1, do you mean that the finished floor elevation shall be 24 inches above the existing grade?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
But we probably ought to change that to
Okay.
say above the existing grade, because we don't know what 24 inches means unless we reference it to something.
Yes, sir.
And I felt like that's what you all meant.
Mhm.
All right, any questions for staff?
I think we'd have to put the same stipulation on this home as the other one.
All right, well, we
Since
making the
you
same motion?
visualize it,
I'll
you
make a
want-
motion that we approve 2021-154 with the conditions already set by the staff, the additional one of the false piers.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval of PZ 2021-154. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All righty.
Woo-hoo, moving along. Big
Yeah.
road.
All right, our
Because
next,
he's got vision.
item is PC 2021-158, request for certificate of appropriateness to replace windows and to reduce the siding profile of a house. The applicant is Pawan Kumar. The address is 1812 Hazel Street. Staff?
Okay. Mr. Kumar is seeking permission to replace 2 front windows and reduce the profile siding to the house located at 1812 Hazel Avenue. Replacement of the windows, including extensive interior work, has been completed without the benefit of a CA or building permits. Originally, windows varied in pane appearance, and now Mr. Kumar is requesting to have the front windows consistent with the rest of the house, which would be 6/6. The applicant would also like to reduce the size of the pressboard siding from a larger width to a 1/8 shiplap siding. The work was stopped in time and has not yet been completed without the permission from the HLC. This home is categorized as a craftsman-style home. When reviewing examples of these homes in our Guide to American Houses book, the request to reduce the siding seems appropriate for a home within this era. However, the request to have 6/6 pane windows does not seem appropriate. From the examples that I saw within that era, it looked like it had multi-panes over 1 style windows. Staff recommends approval of the 1/8 shiplap siding and denial of the 6/6 windows, with the recommendation that the applicant brings to staff an example of a multi-pane over 1 pane window for approval. The applicant is here.
Now, did you say that the existing windows on the side and the rear of the house are 6/6s?
No, that's what he wants. But right now, like what's before you guys is the 2 front windows.
Okay, what are the windows on the sides and the back?
They've already been changed to 6/6.
Okay.
What's the one in the front? It's hard to tell.
Those have been changed without the permission of or benefit of a CA, and those are 6/6 currently.
Because it looks, in all the photos here, they all look to be just 1/1, just,
Right, so I can pull these up.
right? All these ones are just, is that what you're calling 1/1?
It's, well, when you get into the book here. So here's, these are multiples. So it's a variety of things, but usually the upper and lower sashes had some difference to them. The number of panels was different.
Does anyone see the book or they have?
What page are you on? Yeah.
460 to 462. I'm sorry, 463.
The window dance.
See here, if you
Yeah.
if you go to page 455, you will see in the typical elaborations, the
Yeah.
top building on the left-hand side, it says multi-pane sash over sash with one large glass pane. Also, transom windows were popular during that time. So, that's, all right, any other questions for staff? If not, Mr. Kumar, would you like to come forward and please state your name and address for our record and tell us a little bit about your project?
Hi, my name is Pawan, and I live in 3080 West Lakeside Drive in Beaumont. Well, I bought these houses. I was trying to remodel it. It's my first rodeo. I didn't knew about the historical district or anything like that. So I just went in. All the windows I bought both the houses. If you look into it, both these houses I bought. One houses I don't have to touch it because it looks great outside. No problem. No water leaks. They have a different kind of style window too. If you look at the front, they have a different panes. In the back, they have a different paint. But they're in a better shape. It was not in a worse shape where people can live nicely, comfortably. In this house, the window was terrible. I don't know how people were living in there. I have no idea. But some of the windows were 6-to-1, some of them 1-to-1, some of them like no glass. It was broken. You cannot shut them out. You cannot open them up. So I just had to change it. When we changed the back side, we decided to change the front one too. And then that's where the city come in. Hey, you can't change it. And I didn't know that. So that's where we at. And I just want to fix this house so I can rent it and make it nice for people to live in there.
So you know now that you have to get a building permit
Yes,
to work on
absolutely.
houses.
And we did right away. Once we knew that, I have a company. Because my initial plan was to just fix, a flooring and paint. That was the initial thought. But when we went in there, because we bought this house blindly, we look at it. Okay, let me buy it and let me fix it and let me do something. And I didn't look into it, so it was a learning experience.
Okay. Are you okay with the recommendations from the city?
I'm okay with the 1x8. That's the one I recommend. I love it. That's great. But for window, I'm not okay. I think we should. That's the cost effectiveness of the windows and the 6x6. The other house in the neighborhood, some of them have 6-panel-by-6. They do. What other windows? I don't know how long. Because right now, if I went to go with a custom window, it takes us like 6 months to get a window. I have an example of my own house. I'm building my own house, which I have a permit, by the way. So I ordered the window in January, and Tri Supply still didn't deliver. It's not their fault. It's just showcase windows. I still received no windows, and the whole work is behind because there's no material. There's nothing I can do about it. So I recommend that it's for me to look at the old windows and fix all these things. Let me use at least. These are energy efficient windows. They are good windows, and so I just rather use these 2 windows in the front. Rest of them I'm gonna keep it the same way. Excuse me. That's where I'll see if you guys can work with me on that. On my first radio, I'm not gonna touch these houses again. So, see if we can do something about it.
You do know that we have made people change windows, not just you. This has been the ongoing thing since this committee was formed.
I have no idea.
And we can't say it's okay for you to do something.
Okay.
And then tell someone else that has gone to the expense of doing what we said needed to be done. That punishes them.
Okay, makes makes sense. So just if you don't mind, I have a question about. So what you guys recommending, like no paneling, or you looking for straight panel, or what you guys looking at?
I don't have an objection with it smaller. I think it's more
I
typical.
don't have any problems with the siding.
No, I don't either.
So what window you guys suggesting?
A 6/1.
The one in the front.
So
Two-
6
two
over
in
1.
Two in the
The one in
front.
front.
The two
So
windows in the
what
front.
that 6 over 1, what that means is?
Six lights in the upper window, one light in the lower window.
What line?
The openings.
Okay.
We have a 6/6 right now, okay? So 6/1 would be, the top would be the same 6, and the lower sash would be all one window. Now, a lot of these companies will make you a lower sash, because the lower sash can be removed. So you wouldn't have to replace the whole window, you just probably have to replace the lower sash.
Glass maybe. Okay,
With
just
the-
remove the
with
glass.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I can do
please
that.
be aware, when you buy these houses in Old Town, you may not be aware of it, but you signed a document when you bought that house that said you're gonna come in front of this group with any changes for that house.
Okay, now
I know that bunch of paperwork is that thick, but I'm just telling you, in the old part of Beaumont, we're tasked with keeping the same look. A lot of the people that sit on this board live in these neighborhoods, so it's protecting their property values and other
Absolutely.
property values, and we take it very seriously. That's part of our history of Beaumont, and we wanna
Absolutely.
maintain it, so.
absolutely. Sure.
Question, did an individual sell you the house, or was it
Uh,
something
it-
you went to?
There was a one investor, I think they put a listing for both houses. I was looking for something new and, something different to do. So I just went ahead and bought it and just started, do something with it.
Still, the closing company has a
Yeah,
document.
they've gotta do
It's
it.
a law, they have to have you sign.
Yeah, the paperwork was not that big this time though. There was the cash buy, so it was not that big. There's no.
But they
So-
still.
Yeah, I should have read it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
And
that.
shame on them.
No, it's I mean, I should have do my own research. That's not none of their business. So it's my fault. I agree with it. So
No,
it's-
it is their responsibility, that's what he's saying, it's
Yeah.
the law.
Yeah, I
If
didn't
you
know.
buy
I
in a
have no
historical
idea about
district.
this thing. I never knew it was historical district. But now I'm learning about history and I'm learning about these things, and I'm glad I can work with it.
Well, it's a neat house, I mean,
Yeah, these houses are great actually. I mean, a lot of in the neighborhood houses are very bad condition. I think city should do something about that too if they really want to preserve the thing, because half the houses is just tearing down.
Well, keep buying more.
Yes.
I love to. Now I know the process. Yeah, he was here, and I love to
Our
do that.
future is in your hands.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll work on it for sure. For sure.
It has a brown street sign, come see us.
Yes. No, but thank you so much. So, there's anything else we need to discuss?
Anybody else have any questions, Mr. Kumar? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I'm gonna go ahead and good with the siding, but change the windows.
That's once they.
Oh, okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
good luck.
All right, is there any other discussion or motion?
I make a motion that we approve PZ 2021-158 with the suggestions about changing the two front windows. And I don't think
With
I need
staff
to change,
recommendations?
and the rest of the staff recommendation.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
This will be our last meeting.
All right, our next item is PZ 2021-165, request for a certificate of appropriateness to remove dormers from a house. Applicant is Eric Helberg, and the address is 2429 Broadway Street.
Mr. Helberg requests permission to remove a dormer from the house located at 2429 Broadway Street. The applicant began work without the benefit of a CA or building permits. The applicant explained that the dormer, as it exists, is not tied properly into a supportive beam, and that it essentially is floating. He said that this will require him to move the front fascia to then reconstruct the front wall in order to properly secure the dormer to the roof/front porch. If allowed to remove the dormer, he will tie into the existing roof line and use architectural shingles to match the existing shingles. This home is categorized as a craftsman-style house. Dormers appear to be a prominent architectural feature for these type of homes. Therefore, the removal of the dormer may hinder the historic preservation of this structure, which is why staff recommends denial of this request. So this is the street view. And then I just zoomed in a little bit, just to show the work. And the applicant is also here.
Do we know the age of this house?
Is it
JCAT
in-
has it listed as built in 62, however, we know JCAT's not always correct. It is not in spare. But JCAT does have it listed as porch, structure,
Okay,
and patio, I believe, built in 62.
okay, thank you.
Built for much earlier.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
62 is when the Jefferson County
probably did
Appraisal
some
District
work on it.
originated,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
a lot
so
of.
we know it's not always.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, any other questions for staff? Thank you. Is the applicant in the, all right, name and address for our record, please.
Eric Helberg, 1779 Moore Road, Beaumont, Texas 77713.
All right, you want to tell us a little bit about the project?
Sure. Well, when I went into the city, I was pretty much under the gun, and that was my fault. And Hester's not going to remember this, but when I first moved to Beaumont in 2000, she was my realtor. We came into Old Town, and I said, man, I found this dilapidated duplex, and I'm like, I'm going to live on one side because Roxanne's working in Houston, and I'm going to rent the other out. And so lo and behold, we did settle on Hazel Street, and while we were there, started buying other places. And then I became Marty's neighbor across in Dr. Fuquay's old house, and up until when the kids got older and we wanted animals and to stretch our legs and stop paying for private school, we moved out that way, and the rest is history. I still have 15 properties in Old Town. I mean, heck, I sold that parking lot to Mike so he could have Luke's. And, but all that happened here, and I was totally wrong. So, but it wasn't anything malicious or something pre-thought out. What it was we'd had a hurricane at the end of last year. Had 3 trees, including this one. There was a huge pecan tree that caved that house in. Had one up in Tyler County, one up in Hardin County. Fought with insurance up until about February on this one, battle of attrition. We got what we needed. And then what happened in February? We had a freeze. So then I had 9 homes without plumbing. And a couple here in Old Town. I'm not going to tell you which one I went and actually plumbed myself because they needed water. And this particular home, we bought that in '05. The Paralysis, who have been with us since '07, yeah, they've lived with us here 15 years. And other than that apartment that y'all just demolished or came up on the agenda to demolish about 1 or 2 down from here, they moved 1 house over. They're dying to get back in. And their relatives who live on, this is a duplex, who live on the left side, they've been with us for 11 years. And so what you're looking at essentially right there is after we went in with Ted Harp, who's inspected lots of our roofs, we rebuilt that old stick framing, Don, in the attic. Probably if it wouldn't have been an old style home, it would have caved in completely. And we went in with 6x6s, redid the top plate up in the attic, did a lattice work of new rafters tied in to that column, because that whole thing, it had caved in that complete right side, and the whole thing was down like this underneath the dormer. I thought it was called a gable. And so we started working on the inside because we're like, you know what, it's a great opportunity to build it nice for this family, put in a new bathroom, completed all the trim work with the exact same trim that was there, all the trim on the outside that you can't see going around the sides and the back. I went to West Vice, spent a fortune to have all this stuff tooled and made. It's old slat board and molding. It's like this thick. And we were kind of stalled because we were going to put cold pressed bry on the flat roof, modified bitumen, and it took a while to order it. And so then when it got here, then Ted and my guy kind of got in a tussle because Ted's like, hey, that's OSB and I want you to have plywood. I'm like, okay, Ted, well, that's not where we started, but we'll do it. And then he said the reason when we opened it up, all those rafters on that on the flat porch, and Ted thinks that that dormer as well as that flat porch were add-ons. I'm just going by, I have no conclusive evidence, I'm going by what Ted said. And so when we opened up that top on that porch, those rafters were probably this far away from my top plate and this far away from that dormer. The ones that still had some continuity, the rest were completely watered or rotted out. And so Ted's like, look, the only way you can ensure structural integrity there and or water tightness is just redeck that top, continue to slope, get rid of that dormer and tie it into the top plate and the column that we just put in up top in the attic. And that's when my guy started tearing down that dormer. And I guess, are you the inspector, sir, I spoke to on the phone? Yeah. I was nice about it despite being in a, okay. And hey guys, I tell you what, so I go to the city the very next day and heck, my first job out of college, I was a city planner of Harlingen, Texas. I've done this, done all that, had a million things going on, and probably wasn't doing any of them all real well, but I was kind of surprised how it all went down. Demi was outstanding and super helpful. And honestly, whether it's recommended denial, approval, the reason we wanted it removed, just simply the windstorm engineer's expertise. If it's denied, then I'll have to come up with a completely new system. What we're gonna have to do is reframe that. I'll probably have to pull down that whole front wall and we'll have to start again. But I'm not opposed to it. It just means more money, more time, and I'll probably have to come up with some materials that are very, very hard to find. And really, after we talked about it and we thought it was an add-on, I know that there's some contiguous stuff in the neighborhood, but it was built that way. And we think this was put on after the fact. I didn't open my packet till today, so hey, kids are out of school and I'm still running with them, but we'll figure out what we need to do.
Any questions?
I have none.
But it was my fault. I should have thought about it beforehand, and I honestly I did not. And but hey, that shouldn't make you a villain though either. So that's just called being under the gun. And if you've been there literally, I have. If you've been there figuratively, probably most of us all have.
Well, no other questions. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, open it up for discussion.
I'm going to have to go with a staff recommendation. I'm sorry about all your dilemmas and everything, but if you owned property in Old Town before, I would have thought that you knew about the permitting and checking everything out before. So I'm sorry for your situation. I'm going to make a recommendation that we deny PZ 2021-165.
And I'll second that.
All right, we have a recommendation and a second. All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. Request is denied. All right, our next item on the agenda is Historic District Code Enforcement Report.
I do want to introduce to you guys our new inspector over the Historic District, Mr. Carl Westbrook. So he'll be reading his report. He's been here for about a month, more? Yeah. So he's been doing great work.
Okay, for May 2021, for affidavits completed, we have 2. Court inspections, we had 2. Court re-inspections, we had 2. On certificate of appropriateness, we did 12. For general nuisance violations, the new ones, we only had 1. General nuisance re-inspections, we had 3. New historic violations were 7. Historic re-inspections, we had 9. Historic planning and zoning progress inspections, we had 2. We issued 3 stop work orders. We had 2 junk motor vehicles and 1 junk motor vehicle re-inspection, which resulted in 1 owner compliance. We had 3 new litter violations. We had 6 litter re-inspections. We had 29 new weed violations. We had 19 re-inspections. We had 15 weed city compliance and 2 owner compliance.
For a grand total of about 97 inspections done last month with Carl's first month on his own. So he did a really good job, and I've trained him. So you can expect great things.
But next year, we do not want you taking off on Memorial Day.
All right, any other questions on the historical report?
Well-
Great job, we appreciate you.
Christina, are you going to mention the fence?
I did email earlier. Did y'all get my email?
We never got your email, but we have the answers for all of your questions.
I think I resent it because it came back that it was undeliverable, and I realized I left the T out of.
I haven't seen it come through yet. I haven't checked the email in probably about an hour. But the first one, the 2500 block of Hazel, the pickets, we would consider it maintenance of an existing fence. What they're doing is they're taking down the existing pickets, tracing them, and repairing the rotten woods. Carl went out and actually spoke with the owners.
Which street is this? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
It's the white pickets. He's just replacing them as is, on the same existing fence. He's tracing the original pickets. It's on Hazel at 10th.
Oh, okay.
The Harrison, the 2400 block, at 8th, I think, was that one?
Yeah, 24.
That fence was actually, I'm gonna take the responsibility on that one, in the switch out of us two. It was sold about 2 months ago, and the previous owner, part of their closing was that he repaired the fence from falling down. The fence was replaced within the same line of the existing fence. I didn't catch it. We cannot make this new owner permit something the old owner did. So I took the blame on that one. That was my bad for missing that when we were switching out. But it is in the same fence line. The finished side is facing us no matter how it necessarily looks, but Carl did speak with the owners. They're already doing some landscaping. He gave them the information on pulling permits, so I'm sure we'll see some improvements from that property as well. And then the final one, the 2600 block of Harrison, right at 10th on the corner of that White House. They actually came in and got their permits last week when Carl took them to court for doing the work without permits. So he came in on Thursday and actually got his permits and got everything approved.
Good job, Christina.
Thanks, Christine.
Good job.
I was talking to Marty on the phone on Saturday and I said, it doesn't look right.
Yeah, that picket one, it looks a little hanky weird, but the black marks are, that's where the pickets were, and they wanted to make sure they went in the same spot.
Perfect. That's good.
All right, is there any other business? If not, we will stand adjourned. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you. And this may be some of our last meetings, some of us.
Yeah.
And after many years, this has been a real joy.
Is it your last meeting?
I'm
None of
Robin's
us know.
appointer. Unless you're gonna run for something.
No. You're doing all that stuff.
Thank you so much.
I think the only one that's really safe is you, because we need somebody drawing the
I know,
pictures.
we'll have to have a.
Good meeting, Dawn.
What?
Keep